সুপ্রিয় দর্শক সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি টিভি 24 টেলিভিশন আয়োজিত নিয়মিত অনুষ্ঠান টিভি অ্যানালিসিস। আমি হাবিব রহমান আছি আপনাদের সাথে। আশা করি বাসাবসী যারা সরাসরি দেখছেন, যারা ফেসবুক লাইভে দেখছেন, যারা পরবর্তীতে ইউটিউবে দেখবেন, সবাই ভালো আছেন, সুস্থ আছেন, নিরাপদে আছেন। 4th of জুলাই সামনে, কাজেই 4th of জুলাই শুভেচ্ছা জানিয়ে রাখতে চাই সবাইকে। এবং ঈদুল আদহা ইজ নেক্সট উইক, সম্ভবত 9 তারিখে, সেটিও শুভেচ্ছা এবং ঈদ মোবারক জানিয়ে রাখতে চাই সবাইকে। সেই সাথে ভুলবেন না যে বাংলাদেশে অনেকেই বন্যা কবলিত, যে যেভাবে পারেন, যতটুকু পারেন, যত সামান্যই হোক, চেষ্টা করবেন সাধ্যমতো আপনাদের, যাতে আপনারা বন্যার্ত মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়াতে পারেন, এটি আমার অনুরোধ। আজ অনুষ্ঠানের শুরুতে জানিয়ে রাখতে চাই প্রথমেই যে প্রথম যে জিনিস, কয়েকটি বিষয় আছে যেটি আলোচনা করবো আজ। একটি নতুন প্রোগ্রাম চালু হতে যাচ্ছে খুব শীঘ্রই, সেটার বিস্তারিত শুনবো। স্টেট স্মল বিজনেস ক্রেডিট ইনিশিয়েটিভ, সংক্ষেপে বলা হয় SSBCI, সেটির বিস্তারিত জানবো। এই প্রোগ্রামের রুলস কি, কতখানি আমরা জানি, কারা পেতে পারেন, কতখানি আলোচনায় থাকবে। SBI Loan 7A, এটিও আলোচনায় থাকবে। এবং আরেকটি বড় ব্যাপার হচ্ছে, যেটি আমরা বিস্তারিতভাবে আলোচনা করব, সেটি হচ্ছে আপনার বাসা আপনি যদি বাসার মালিক হয়ে থাকেন, আপনার বাসার এসক্রো আছে, অর্থাৎ আপনার বাসার ইকুইটি ব্যবহার করে আপনি আপনার মর্টগেজ পে করে দিতে পারেন। সেটিকে যে প্রোগ্রাম, সেটির নাম হচ্ছে Is Hlock। সেটি কীভাবে কাজ করে তার বিস্তারিত আলোচনা আজকে থাকবে। কাজেই আমি মনে করি অনেকের জন্য এটি, অনেকেই আপনারা জানেন ইতিমধ্যে, হয়তো আমাদের চেয়েও হয়তো বেশি ভালো করে জানেন, তারা অন্যদেরকে সহযোগিতা করবেন। যারা জানেন না, প্রথমবার মতো শুনছেন, মনোযোগিতা শুনুন, যদি আপনি স্পেশালি হোমওনার হয়ে থাকেন। কাজেই আপনার জন্য এটি অত্যন্ত অর্থবহ হয়ে থাকবে। এটি ব্যবহার করে অনেকে ক্ষেত্রভেদে, কত বছর ধরে আপনার বাড়ির ওনার আছেন তার ক্ষেত্রভেদে 5 বছর থেকে 10 বছরের মধ্যে, যদি আপনার 30 বছর বা 25 বছর লোন হয়ে থাকে, পে অফ করে দিতে পারেন। সম্ভব এটি, তার জন্য ডিসিপ্লিন দরকার, আরও অনেক জিনিস দরকার। এই সমস্ত বিষয়ে আলোচনা করার জন্য আজ আমার সাথে স্টুডিওতে আছেন CPA Michael Mutazidi, as usual. Welcome. Thank you for making time. I think we're going to have a good program. We are going to have chit-chats, talk, laugh, jokes, and we are going to discuss many interesting things. But I think everybody is... let's not make people wait. Let's talk about Small Business Credit Initiative. You and I briefly touched on this, what it is, when it's starting, who can get it, what you know about it so far.
Sure. We are the last state to get this. It's the last government grant/loans coming out. So everyone who missed the SBA, don't miss this. We think it's going to probably come out in either late August or maybe early September. Who do I think it's for? It's probably for the same people who applied for the New York State grant, the city grant, and all the other grants that came out this year and last year.
Okay.
So self-employed.
Yes, keep going.
Self-employed. I'm pretty certain you're going to need to, been self-employed for 2 years. It's not something you just started, you started driving this year. It's not probably going to be for you. You start a business here, not for you, but something that has a little bit of a track record. Probably 2 years tax returns.
Okay, so anybody who applied for New York City Business Grant, what other program you just mentioned?
New York City grant.
New York City grant.
Yes.
Qualified or not qualified, they might apply.
Correct.
Okay. They then self-employed people, anybody who's Uber,
it is
Lyft,
for, yes,
taxi.
Correct.
Food cart vendor. Everybody can apply for it.
Correct.
And when is it starting?
We believe it's either the last week of April or either the first week of September.
Okay. I hear, after speaking with you, that the total but the credit initiative is huge amount. What's the total credit amount we're talking about?
Well, let's focus on what's important in New York.
I just want to mention one thing. Self-employed people, 2 years tax papers. 2 বছরের ট্যাক্স পেপার আপনাদের রাখতে হবে। এবং যারা নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেট গ্র্যান্ট, বিজনেস গ্র্যান্ট পেয়েছেন বা অ্যাপ্লাই করেছেন, তারা সবাই এটার জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারেন, আবেদন করতে পারেন। 2 বছরের ট্যাক্স পেপার লাগবে। Yes, please.
So the most important thing is New York. So Maine just got theirs. There was about 175 million. Now, if you look at the population of Maine compared to the population of New York, my guess is it's about a little over 200 million. Could be 225 million, something around that line.
This is for New York City.
New York State.
New York State, 225 million?
225.
225.
Yeah.
225,
That's my guess.
Give or take. Because I hear the total grant, total credit initiative is about $10 billion federally.
Correct, but there's 50 states, so we are correct, but we are one of the biggest states.
So one of the biggest states, New York State, we are getting 225 million,
somewhere along
that line, give or take, and then that makes us a biggest bucket.
It's one of the biggest buckets.
One of the biggest buckets.
We have the highest population.
That means higher probability of getting this. So people who are watching, right, what would be your advice for them to get ready for this? You said it starts on September.
Either late August or September.
Late August or September, okay.
Right.
So let's say September, okay? And then you need some paperwork to be in place. You
Correct.
just don't want to run into last minute thing, oh, I don't have this, I didn't file the taxes. Those people, what your suggestions are for that?
All right, so for something like this, it's probably around this, now this is from my experience. It's probably you're gonna need your 19 taxes, your 20 taxes, and bring your 21, because we don't know exactly sure. If you're a driver, if you own a business, whatever license you need. So obviously a TLC license is very important if you're a driver. If you're not a driver, you have a business. A lot of people have what they call this pink vendor to collect sales tax. Bring that just in case. Now, some other things. Bring your license or your state ID. And then, as everyone remembers from the New York State grant, they wanted your business bank statement. They wanted a voided check. And then maybe something else. They wanted a Con Ed bill or a National Grid bill. So that's really important. That's what we learned from New York State.
So 2 years tax paper, bring 2019, 2020, possibly 2021. So that helps, basically. That really helps. And then you should have your ID. That could be a state ID, driver's license, and one of the utility bills. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, if you are filing single, that's that. If you're filing married, filing jointly, is the same rules applies?
Same rules.
Same rules applies. Okay, আপনারা যারা দেখছেন 2 বছরের ট্যাক্স পেপার 2019, 2019, 2020 এবং আপনার একটা আইডি ড্রাইভার্স লাইসেন্স হতে পারে, স্টেট আইডি হতে পারে এবং একটি ইউটিলিটি বিল আপনারা তৈরি রাখবেন। যখন এটি শুরু হবে আমরা আপনাদেরকে জানাবো, আপনারা অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারেন। Now, this is a grant or it's a credit initiative? What does that mean?
So from our knowledge, it's partially grant, partial loan.
Okay, so there is a grant part of it and there is a loan part of it.
Right.
Explain.
We don't exactly have clarity on what's going to be for New York.
Okay.
Also, I just want to touch on one thing. Medallion owners, business owners who do not file their business on their personal tax returns. Either it's an 1120, which is a C Corp, which is a lot of medallion owners. Bring that paperwork in. Don't just bring your personal taxes in because that information is not going to be there. So it's really important you guys bring everything in you got.
Okay, I want you to repeat this. So if you're a medallion owner or you have a C Corp, you want them to file taxes or you don't want them to file taxes?
It's not filing taxes. I want to make sure they bring the taxes in.
Okay. সো যারা দেখছেন, আপনি যদি স্পেশালি মেডালিয়ান ওনার হয়ে থাকেন, বিজনেস ওনার হয়ে থাকেন, আপনার একটা সি কর্প আছে, আপনি এখনও ট্যাক্স ফাইল করেননি, haven't filed tax yet, as of yet.
Yeah, we don't know if you need 2021 yet.
হ্যাঁ, যদি না করে থাকেন, don't do it, bring it, and then your office will look into it.
Well, our office take care of that.
All right, so that's that about.
Well, I got one more.
You got more.
Most important thing. What's most important thing?
If you call now.
That's exactly. You don't want to see what happened in New York City grant.
Okay.
The whole thing went down real quick. People lost.
That's true. So yes, please.
So do not wait. Jump on this. Okay. You feel free to call my office all week of August, first week of September. We'll tell you when it's out.
Okay. There's one question, Ronnie Riaz, and he's saying, if someone is working on W-2 and during and driving Uber and Lyft as part-time, that person will be eligible for this grant/loan. আমি আপনাদেরকে একটা কথা, এটি কিন্তু ক্রেডিট ইনিশিয়েটিভ, এটি একটি অংশ থাকবে গ্র্যান্ট, আরেকটি অংশ হচ্ছে লোন, কাজেই একটু কেয়ারফুলি দেখবেন। ওকে।
So yes, but I believe it's also going to have an income threshold. So depending on what you showed as a gross income on your Uber and Lyft driving, on your Schedule C, I believe that's going to be a major component.
ওকে, সো এটি ডিপেন্ড করছে আপনি কতখানি গ্র্যান্ট পাবেন, কতখানি লোন পাবেন, এটি নির্ভর করবে আপনার ট্যাক্স ফাইলের উপর। লেটস ফর আর্গুমেন্টস সেক, and we don't know the details, but just for understanding it better, if somebody files tax single person, $50,000, as opposed to $100,000, right? So what would be the person who files $100,000 gets more, has a probability of getting higher loan and grant?
That's what, yes,
okay.
yes, absolutely.
I think that's crucial. So মাইকেল মোতাজিদ যেটি বলছেন যে যদি আপনার ট্যাক্স ফাইলটা হায়ার হয়ে থাকে, বেশি হয়ে থাকে, সেই ক্ষেত্রে আপনার গ্র্যান্টের অ্যামাউন্টটি এবং লোনের যে ক্রেডিট ইনিশিয়েটিভ আছে এটি দুটিই বেশি হতে যাচ্ছে। কাজেই বি কেয়ারফুল। ছোট ট্যাক্স ফাইল ছোট অ্যামাউন্ট দেওয়া হবে, বড়টির বড় দেওয়া হবে। Bigger one bigger, smaller one smaller. That's simply put it. Okay. Now let's move on to I want to move on to the part of SBA loan 7A. Everybody thinks, I know you're laughing. Everybody thinks that SBA loan is dead. Okay? Dead. It's a deadbeat horse. Okay? How much truth to that?
Okay.
I'm coming. Second part of the question. And then is it really so, right? And then the question is, can people still apply and be able to get the loans and grants? You're going to clarify this. We have to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to discuss this, and then we're going to go into Is Hlock. Okay. আপনারা যারা দেখছেন SBA loan 7 যে পার্টি আছে এটি কিন্তু এখনো বন্ধ হয়নি। এটি বিস্তারিত আলোচনা এখন থাকবে। এবং Is Hlock আপনি নিজের বাসার মর্টগেজ ইকুইটি থেকে কীভাবে মর্টগেজটা পে করে 5 বছর 10 বছরের মধ্যে শেষ করতে পারেন সেটি বিস্তারিত থাকবে। আমাদের নিতে হচ্ছে ছোট্ট একটি বিরতি। আপনারা যাবেন না কোথাও। বিরতির পর পুনরায় সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি চিবিএন অ্যানালিসিস অনুষ্ঠানে। আমি হাবিব রহমান আছি আপনাদের সাথে এবং আমার সাথে আছেন সিপিএ মাইকেল মোতাজিদি। আমরা আলাপ করছিলাম SBA loan 7 নিয়ে। So, can I go back to SBA loan 7 again?
Okay.
Is it a dead horse?
It's different.
Okay, so please
the
explain.
question you guys really asking me about EIDL loans.
That's correct. And
okay.
so we mix up.
So is it dead? Yes, but there's one thing.
Okay.
If you got approved during the time that you were supposed to, before they ran out of money, you can call them and still possibly get the money.
Okay, so
but you had to be approved, not that I applied to it.
If your EIDL loan was approved earlier, and then it's still you haven't heard anything, right? There is a probability to get that fund. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so how long does that person have to wait? Is there any time limit?
No, what they got to do is call the SBA directly.
Call them directly. Okay, আপনারা যারা দেখছেন EIDL loan যাদের অ্যাপ্রুভ হয়ে বসে আছে কিন্তু ফান্ডটি পাননি, আপনাদের যেটি করতে হবে, what number do they call?
It's like 188 something.
Okay, just একটু গুগল করে নেবেন দয়া করে, just EIDL SBA loan phone number ধরেন এটি লিখে যদি সার্চ করেন আপনি পেয়ে যাবেন। অনেকে জিজ্ঞেস করছেন এখানে যে স্মল বিজনেস ক্রেডিট ইনিশিয়েটিভ এটির লিঙ্কটি কি। আপনি দয়া করে গুগলে একটু SSBCI এটি দিয়ে সার্চ করবেন অথবা বলবেন লিখবেন SSBCI programs and that's it. এটি করলে যথেষ্ট। Okay, let's go back to SBA loan 7A. First, talk about what is this program?
So this program's been out from the very beginning, before EIDL ever existed. Done multiple 7A loans, way before EIDL. These are called cash flowing loans. So they're looking at the profit of the business, and they're seeing if your business can take on additional debt. Now, you write everything off, and you always show negative or a couple dollars here and there. It's not for you. They're not going to give you the loan. You're wasting your time applying. But if you show some net profit, which is either on the bottom Schedule C or on your normal business tax returns, then it can be for you. Now, this is not at 3.75%. This is at 7%. And that's how it's always been.
Okay. The inflation is 8.6%. It sounds cheap to me.
That everyone's used to 3.75.
Well, that is a ancient history.
Yes, but here's the worst part.
Okay, what's the worst part?
The worst part is it's usually on either 7-10 year payback.
Okay, so it's
payments,
faster,
it's
quicker.
faster, your payments are bigger.
Okay.
EIDL was 30 years.
Okay, I want to break it down to everybody who's watching. Okay, আপনারা যারা দেখছেন SBA 7A এই লোনটি EIDL লোনের অনেক আগে থেকেই আছে। কারা এটি পেতে পারেন? আপনার বিজনেস আছে, আপনি বিজনেস ট্যাক্স ফাইল করেন, প্রপারলি করেন এবং আপনার বিজনেস ফ্লোটা পজিটিভ, অর্থাৎ আপনি লাভে আছেন, ক্ষতির মুখে নেই, তখন আপনি এই লোনের জন্য অ্যাপ্লিকেশন বা দরখাস্ত করতে পারেন। এটি আগের যে EIDL ছিল সেটি ছিল ইন্টারেস্ট রেট ছিল 3.75%, যার জন্য আমরা সবাইকে এনকারেজ করেছিলাম এত কম ইন্টারেস্ট রেটে পাওয়া যায় না। এটির মাচ হায়ার, বেশ উচ্চ, এটি হচ্ছে 7%, বাট এটির যে পরিমাণ লোন দেওয়া হয় সেটিও বড় অঙ্কের, কিন্তু এটি আপনাকে ফেরত দিতে হবে 7 to 10 years, ওকে, 7 থেকে 10 বছরের মধ্যে এটিকে আপনাকে পরিশোধ করে দিতে হবে। সো লেটস ওয়ার্ক উইথ অ্যান এক্সাম্পল। A current business that exists for last 3 years, for example, is making a profit of $10,000.
Okay.
And 15,000 and 20,000 year over year, right? What's the probability of this person getting this loan, and how much ballpark number we're looking at?
I would say ballpark $50,000.
Okay, so আমি যেটি তাকে জিজ্ঞেস করেছিলাম সেটি হচ্ছে এই যে 7A SBA 7A লোন আছে, যদি আপনার একটি ব্যবসা থেকে থাকে, গত 3 বছরের একটি উদাহরণ নিয়ে এসেছিলাম, যদি আপনি সেখান থেকে $10,000 প্রথম বছর, তারপর $15, তারপর $20,000 ইনকাম করে থাকেন, এবং এই ট্যাক্স ফাইলটি নিয়ে আপনি আসেন এবং SBA 7A প্রোগ্রামের জন্য আবেদন করেন, তাহলে আপনি $50,000 পর্যন্ত পেতে পারেন, কিন্তু আপনাকে এটা 7 থেকে 10 বছরের মধ্যে ফেরত দিতে হবে এবং 7% ইন্টারেস্ট, কাজে সেটি খেয়াল রাখবেন। নাও, do you have any advice for people who are watching this to get this initiative done? Because many can say, oh, maybe a little bit higher interest rate, blah, blah, blah.
Sure. So my number one thing is do not go try to apply on SBA. Because what happens is when you do this, a million different banks...
Don't directly apply?
Through SBA.
Okay.
Don't do this. Because what's going to happen is a million people are going to reach out to you. Everyone's going to say, hey, fill out this application, fill out this application, fill this application. They're going to hit your credit every single time. So by the time you're ready to find the lender you want, credit's going to be destroyed.
Okay, because you're getting hit after hit.
Correct. It's one place. That's what you should do. You should go to an aggregator. I use an aggregator for this.
Aggregator.
So basically, we take it in-house, we look at it, and we put it to the right lenders. And the credit gets hit once.
All right. I think I need to explain this to everybody, because this is a very important aspect. Because a long time ago, when I was shopping for a car, this happened to me. I went to different vendors, and every time they were, checking the credit, I was getting a hit. I'm talking about way back, 700 to, and that time 700 was very high score as opposed to today's 800. And then by the time I came home, in 2-3 days later, I saw it's like 601. So I think this is very important aspect. Okay, আপনারা যারা দেখছেন SBA 7 লোন যারা নিতে আগ্রহী, এটি যারা করবেন, আপনারা যদি বিভিন্ন ভেন্ডরের কাছে যাওয়া শুরু করেন, প্রত্যেকেই আপনার ক্রেডিট চেক করবে। প্রতিবার যখন ক্রেডিট চেক হবে, প্রতিবার আপনার ক্রেডিট হিস্ট্রিতে যোগ হবে এবং প্রতিবারই আপনি পয়েন্ট হারাবেন। সো মনে করুন আপনি 700 পয়েন্ট আছে, আপনি 10 জনের কাছে গিয়েছেন, প্রতিবার যখন সার্চ করা হয় 10 থেকে 5 থেকে 10 পয়েন্ট আপনি লুজ করবেন, এরকম হয়ে থাকে। সেই ক্ষেত্রে আপনি কিন্তু বড় ক্ষতির মুখে পড়বেন। আপনি যখন ফাইনালি একজন ভেন্ডর পাবেন যে আপনার লোনটা অ্যাপ্রুভ করে দিবে, তখন দেখা গেল যে আপনি 600 নিচে নেমে গেছেন। দিস ইজ এ ডিজাস্টার। কাজে মাইকেল মুতাজিদি যেটি বলছেন যে কাম টু অ্যান অ্যাগ্রিগেটর, আপনার ইচ্ছা করলে তার অফিসে যেতে পারেন, ইউ ক্যান গো টু হিজ অফিস টু, কারণ তারা অ্যাগ্রিগেটরের সাথে কাজ করেন, একটা ক্রেডিট হিট হয়, one credit hit.
Correct.
Okay. Any other thing that you want to add to this?
Okay, so aside from that, as I told you, it's a faster payoff, so you have to be ready for a higher amount. Okay, it has nothing to do with your gross income. Whatever you use to the EIDL, throw that out the window. It's all about the net income. Okay, if you haven't done your taxes, if you want to try to apply for this, you need to show a higher net income.
Okay, I think this is a big difference. Okay, আপনারা যারা দেখছেন, EIDL-এ যারা দরখাস্ত করেছিলেন, আবেদন করেছিলেন, পেয়েছেন বা পাননি বা পেন্ডিংয়ে আছেন, তারা কিন্তু শুধু আপনার গ্রস ইনকাম দেখেছিল, গ্রস ইনকাম, টোটাল ইনকামিং ইনকাম। এটির ঘটনা আলাদা, সেটি হচ্ছে আপনার গ্রস ইনকাম মাইনাস এভরিথিং এলস, সব কিছু বিয়োগ করার পর, সব কিছু ছেড়ে দেওয়ার পর যেটি আপনার হাতে থাকবে, এটি হচ্ছে আপনার প্রফিট অথবা নেট ইনকাম। এই নেট ইনকামটাই হচ্ছে খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট জিনিস, গুরুত্বপূর্ণ একটি ব্যাপার। এবং যারা এখনও ট্যাক্স ফাইল করেননি 2021 সালের, তারা ভালো একজন সিপিএ শরণাপন্ন হবেন এবং ভালো মতো বুঝে নেবেন যদি এই SBA 7 লোন জন্য আবেদন করতে চান আপনারা। এনিথিং এলস দ্যাট উই শুড অ্যাড?
Nothing. That's
pretty
much
it. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Last week, in our last episode, we talked about that people can use their own home's equity and pay off their mortgage faster than 30 years.
They can.
Okay,
They
so,
can.
and the program was, we briefly touched Hlock, which basically stands for Home Equity Line of Credit.
Correct.
So, first start with how the regular mortgage works and what happens in first 5 years as opposed to, then we're going to go to Hlock.
Okay, so a normal typical loan, first mortgage, it's usually over 30 years. Again, they offer 10, 15, but most people have 30 years. So during the first 5 years, you are paying mostly interest. As you pay down the principal a little bit, the interest is going to go down every month. So you start paying back more principal after 5 years, okay? Also very important is with the regular mortgage, you're paying most likely your insurance. You have an insurance payment monthly. You also have a property tax payment monthly. Okay, that's going to probably go up every year. It's not going to go down.
That's the regular mortgage.
That's the regular
Okay,
mortgage.
So I want to break this down to everybody. আপনারা যখন একটা মর্গেজ, আপনি একটি বাড়ি ক্রয় করে থাকেন প্রথমবারের মতো, আপনি যখন মর্গেজ পেয়ে আসাতে, চলুন সিম্পল ফর্মে আমরা আলোচনা করি বোঝার সুবিধার্থে। প্রথম কথা হচ্ছে প্রিন্সিপাল অ্যান্ড ইন্টারেস্ট, প্রিন্সিপাল প্লাস ইন্টারেস্ট, দিস ইজ ইউর মর্গেজ। তার সাথে যেটি থাকে সেটি হচ্ছে ট্যাক্সেস অ্যান্ড ইন্স্যুরেন্স। ট্যাক্সেস অ্যান্ড ইন্স্যুরেন্স গোজ ইনটু ইউর অ্যাসকো, মনে রাখবেন। দ্বিতীয় কথা হচ্ছে প্রথম 5 বছর আমরা আলোচনার সুবিধার্থে ধরে নিই যে আপনার মর্গেজ $2,000, ফার্স্ট 5 ইয়ার্স, প্রথম 5 বছর আপনার শুধুমাত্র $100 যাবে প্রিন্সিপালে, $100, রেস্ট $1,900, $1,900 is going to go into taxes, insurance, escrow, ইত্যাদি ইত্যাদি ইত্যাদি। Okay, so Michael, I just for an example, for to better understand this topic, I said the mortgage is basically principal and interest. However, there are taxes, insurance that goes into escrow. First 5 years, if we make believe your mortgage is $2,000, probably you're paying $100 to your principal. Rest goes to various things.
Well,
In a way.
In a way.
In a way. I mean, I know we can deep
It's a
dive
little bit.
into it.
A little bit comes down to the principal. So.
Okay, that's what I said. $100, give or take, $2,000. Out of $2,000, or maybe $200 goes into your principal. Rest, আপনার ধরে নিন $2,000, $200 যাবে আপনার প্রিন্সিপালে ফার্স্ট 5 years. First 5 years, especially.
That's right.
Rest goes to escrow. অনেকে করেন কি 5 বছর পর after what some people can do in a regular situation after 5 years. Can they take the escrow money and push it towards principal?
They can, as long as they have no prepayment penalties, which the loans today don't. During the subprime
Let's
era,
say
they
a
did.
person is a good and very disciplined and payer of mortgage.
Okay, so I mean, you're also assuming that there's extra left over.
That's correct. So yes, I want to add. Thank you, very good. And that's why you are CPA. You know, as I said, I was a good student. I'm learning fast. Okay, so আমি আপনাদের স্মরণ করিয়ে দিতে চাই, ধরুন আপনি বাসায় ক্রয় করেছেন $2 লক্ষ, সেটি এখন এসে দাঁড়িয়েছে $3 লক্ষ। So I'm just saying, if you bought a house that is a $200,000 and then 5 years later you have $300,000, so you acquired $100,000 equity. Correct? Is that what you're saying? Okay, please go.
Yeah. So no, but definitely with the going back to your escrow situation. So there's a couple things. Like we all know, taxes doesn't go down really, but what you can do, the insurance. If you work with an insurance broker every year with the renewals, you can actually reduce your insurance. Why? Because it's based on the loan amount.
Right.
Okay. Other things we didn't mention was if you put less than 20% down when you first got that loan, you'll have what they call PMI, which will come off eventually, assuming it's not an FHA loan.
Right. FHA loan, the PMI stays for the duration of the loan?
Yes.
Duration of the loan. Okay. So and that happens when you take 3.5%?
Anything less than, it doesn't matter.
Anything.
You can put 50% down and do an FHA loan, you're paying PMI for the rest of the loan.
Okay. So যারা FHA লোন নিয়ে থাকেন তারা 3.5% থেকে শুরু করে 50% যদি আপনি দিয়ে থাকেন, your PMI, আপনার PMI কিন্তু আপনার যদি 30 বছর লোন হয়ে থাকে, your PMI is for 30 years. যদি আপনি লোন 20 বছর হয়ে থাকে, 20 বছর 25 বছর, কিন্তু entire duration যেটি লেন্থ আছে আপনার লোনের PMI বলবৎ থাকবে. So now, can you ask your bank to take the money from escrow and reinvest into the principal and interest?
You can. You definitely can. But most likely they're going to write you a check, and what you do is you write it back to the bank.
Okay, so you tell your bank, hey, listen, I acquired $30,000 in escrow, for example. Just throwing a number so that we understand. Now, you can tell your bank, hey, listen, I want to take that money, I want to put it back into my principal and lower the principal. When you're doing this, you're basically bringing down your interest rate, not rate, interest amount. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's the idea.
But before you say you accumulate 30,000, what they're going to do is run what they call an escrow analysis. If it's your primary house, when you live in, every year you get one. It's by law.
Right.
So they're going to run that and say, do you have a shortage, or do you have a surplus? It's called.
Right.
Surplus is when you have too much.
Yeah, when you have an extra.
Correct. So just say that's $10,000 extra.
Let's say
right. Let's say
$10,000.
it's 10,000. So yeah, most likely they're going to write you a check. That's what I think is going to happen with most lenders.
So your mortgage company is going to write you a check. What do? You take that directly deposit to your bank, or you deposit to?
You're probably going to deposit.
Or you make a payment to the?
Yeah, you let that clear in your bank, and then you write them a check.
Simple.
Simple.
Okay. What it does, it helps reduce the.
It just accelerates the loan.
Accelerates
the loan. It's paid off faster. Now there's less interest you're paying over the life of the loan, but your payment stays the same. So.
Yeah,
very important.
Payment is not going to change.
Very important. Your payment stays the same.
Yeah, unless you.
So now your more interest is getting basically eaten up. So say it's $2,000.
Right.
So maybe you have whatever $700 worth of principal instead of $300 worth of principal.
So you pay
like
less in terms of interest, and you reduce the length.
You do. It pays off faster.
Okay, so that's the whole idea.
Correct.
Now that brings me to Hlock. I know you don't like to talk about this much. I like to talk about it because a lot of people, আপনারা যারা অনেকে দেখছেন, Hlock যেটি আছে, হোম equity line of credit, এটির মাধ্যমে আপনি 5 থেকে 10 বছরের মধ্যে আপনার বাসার equity থেকে আপনার বাসা পেমেন্ট করে দিতে পারেন। কতগুলো প্রশ্ন, there are many questions, আপনারা যারা দেখছেন, there are many questions. First question, what is Hlock? How does it work? I hear many things. It works like your bank account, simple regular account, one thing. The other one, I hear that now I have this, I paid off this, but I have some leftover from the previous principal, and I have Hlock. Now I have 2 loans, right? It becomes confusing. Please explain.
So think of it as really the best way to think about it. Basically, Hlock is to think of it as a big credit card. Okay, you take out a home equity line of credit, and now you have. Let's make an easy example: $50,000.
Now let's assume that you bought a house of $100,000 and you paid down $20,000 as a down payment. Let's start from there. So it's all round figure. It's easy to understand.
Can't get a HELOC.
Why?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because a HELOC will only give you the amount of equity up to 80%.
No, I'm going there.
Right.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew that. Okay, so let's make believe you bought a house for $100,000. You paid $20,000. Now you owe your mortgage company $80,000. In the meantime, your house value went up, and you have acquired equity of, let's say, $60,000. Let's talk.
So it went up 60,000. Right. So that's 160, right?
That's 160.
All right. So say it went up that, right? So you have $60,000 of a home equity line of credit, right? So the question is, what can you do with it? Why do you want it, right? You can use it for whatever you want. Again, just like a credit card. So think about it, you have a $60,000 credit card, right? It has you're just paying interest on this thing. And you only pay it when you draw on it. So eventually when you're done drawing on it, say you drew it all the way to 55, you say, listen, I'm not spending any more money, I don't want any more money, I'm done. It's still a variable interest rate, but you can talk to your bank into almost making it into a second mortgage where it actually gets fixed. Now here's the downside. Say 7 years from now, the interest rates drop drastically and you want to refinance your house. For whatever reason you want to refinance your house. You now have to refinance the home equity line of credit and the first mortgage.
Unless that principal is paid off.
Right. Now, you can get what they call a subordination clause, and you can get that. They'll only do the first one. It's very rare. But right after the crash, we were doing it.
Okay. Now, there's another confusing question that a lot of people get, and not confusing. I want you to help me understand so that everybody else understands. The house mortgage, it's a compound interest. বাংলায় আমরা কি চক্রবৃদ্ধি হারে সুদ বলে থাকি. Hlock is a simple interest. Now, taking Hlock and paying off the principal amount will not only reduce your mortgage or get rid of the mortgage, but your real payment is going to come down too. Is that
Your
correct?
real payment is not
And
going
the
to come
interest
down.
is going to come down too.
No, it's not.
Why not?
Because as I said, even if you paid half your loan off with cash in the bank, your payment stays the same. So that $2,000 payment stays the same.
That is, I agree with that.
But now you have
your interest is going to go down.
right, but your
It's
payment,
not compound interest anymore.
but your payments are the same. So now you got that $2,000 payment. Now you got
Okay.
that new payment on top of it. Your monthly payment's bigger.
True. Unless you paid off a significant chunk of
Still,
your
payments stay the same. Your monthly payment stays
Okay,
the same.
so let's make believe this way.
Okay.
$100,000, $20,000 down payment. Your value went up to $50,000. So your house is now $150,000. You have an equity of $50,000. You go for an Hlock. You shop and you get an Hlock, and you got a $64,000. Let's say.
Okay.
Let's say it could be $60,000. Now you take that $60,000 and you have this $20,000. You slap them together. Now it's $80,000. You originally bought that house for $100,000. Now you owe this mortgage company of $20,000, right? So your payment that you owe them on only $20,000. Your Hlock is not going to be $2,000 in the first 5 years.
Right, but even if unless you pay the entire loan off,
Yes.
your payment stays the same from the day you got your mortgage.
Yeah, I'm a good student. I'm a good student.
So your payments are still higher.
So I pay higher.
You're still paying higher.
I'm still paying higher.
Yeah, you're still paying
so
higher.
People who are interested in Hlock, what are the pitfalls, and who is it really ideal it is for them?
Okay, so traditionally people took out home equity line of credit for two reasons. One, to put their kids through college, start a new business. That has been, or another one is doing improvements on the home, right?
A home improvement.
Home improvement.
Okay, so it is ideal for them. Instead of taking a mortgage or bank loan, you can go for Hlock. Is that
Correct.
Okay, and what should be they looking out for?
So it's really important is you need to, for this type of situation, you want to go to a mortgage broker, or probably the best situation is whoever has your loan today, if it's Wells Fargo, whoever it is, go talk to them. They'll give it to you. Okay? It's much easier to go to the same lender to get the home equity line of credit.
Okay, so that's enough of Hlock and home equity line of credit and all playing with the numbers. I want to come down to the real situation of the home housing market today. Prospective buyers, what qualifies them now? That's one question. The second question is it a good time to buy? If not, when? Because we are hearing that housing market is cooling off.
So the market is definitely cooling off. You go to any open house, maybe you see like 6 to 10 people there, not 60.
Not
Okay,
100 people.
so it's definitely cooled off. Look, the rates have not gone up as crazy as everyone says. Okay, I was just looking at the rates today on a lock I just did, and look, it was 5.25. So it's not as crazy. Yeah, the 4% are gone; they're just gone. Okay, so yes, your payment is higher, so most likely you can afford less. Now, if you look at the houses right now, you're going to start seeing price changes. So if it was me, I wouldn't be going out, running out, go buy a house. I would wait to see what goes on with the Fed. The Fed's going to raise it again. So what's going to happen? Less payment, less people can afford it. Things are start cooling off.
much faster.
Much faster. So if you look at it, we're here on the cycle, you're going to be chasing it all the way down.
Okay, so you're saying to wait a bit,
I was helping tell you to wait a bit.
and that wait a bit is approximately how long?
So here's where it gets tricky. The way the Fed is going, most economists are telling the same thing. They're saying, hey, we're going to a recession. So the question is, do you really want to be buying a house now, heading into a recession? The question is it going to be a big recession or a light recession?
Right. And that also has a lot to do with the affordability.
Correct. But then I don't want to say good thing about a recession, but during recessions, their interest rates start coming back down. So basically what they're looking to do is they're going to raise the interest rates. It's going to cause a recession. They're going to have to lower the interest rates to start the economy again. So it's this whole circle.
Okay, so what you are saying, let me switch it back to Bangla. I'm just jumping between the languages and stuff. উনি মাইকেল মতাজিদি যেটি বলছেন, যারা বাসা এখনো ক্রয় করেনি কিন্তু দেখছেন, তাদেরকে একটু অপেক্ষা করতে বলছেন, কারণ সাধারণত যেটি হয়ে থাকে রিসেশনের সময় মার্কেট ঠান্ডা হয়ে আসে। যখন এটা হয়ে আসে ফেডারেল রিজার্ভ ইন্টারেস্ট কমাতে বাধ্য হয়। কাজেই আপনারা যদি একটু অপেক্ষা করেন তাহলে হয়তো বেটার ইন্টারেস্ট রেটও পাবেন, এবং এখন যে আকাশচুম্বী দাম আছে বাসার, do you think the house price will come down too?
I do think they're going to come down. Now, if it's someone that needs to buy a house today for either school district, for whatever reason, you know, their apartment is too small and it's like, why don't I should just buy something, then buy it now, okay? But if you can wait. Okay, my best suggestion is to wait if you can.
We are almost towards the end of the program. I want you to clarify the Small Business Credit Initiative and the SBI Loan once again, so that we tie it up and refresh everybody about these things. What, you know, if somebody is interested in SBA 7(a) loan, can they come tomorrow or day after tomorrow or this week? That's one thing. If the state small business credit initiative they're looking for, what they should be doing right now, and get ready to come and do the rest.
So the 7(a) is not going anywhere. It's been around for many years. But in general, you got to figure out, do you need a cash flow loan? You know, is something you need right now to either continue your business for whatever reason, inventory, machinery, whatever you need, or even hiring. But the other one is very important, okay? It's going to be cheap money. And that's what's really important. So if it was me, I was on the fence, I'd probably explore the 7(a), but I would also definitely be applying for that new grant/loan. Because it's going to have I don't want to say it's free money, but it can be very close to it.
Because there is a grant attached to it.
It's also from the government.
It's also from the government. Okay. Rakibul Hassan, you're absolutely right. It says it depends on feds how they control the interest rate. To those people who are still hoping to get a 3 or 4%, it has ended, I think he meant to say, with 4.5%. The lowest rate is all-time low. I think he's absolutely right. What do you think?
Yeah, but do I think it's going to come back? Yes.
Okay, so there is a possibility, you are saying there's a possibility the rate can come down to...
Well, if the rates are where they are and we hit a recession, they're going to have to come down to start the economy.
Sub 5?
Yeah. I definitely think it's going to go back to the force.
I hope so too.
It's definitely going to go back to the force.
All right, so that brings us to the end. I thank you so much for, as usual.
Thank you.
And I know you are not a big proponent of Is Hlock, but I had to bring this up, you know, and clear it up. Next episode I want to discuss with you is how to really pay off your mortgage. How can you actually pay off your mortgage with your credit cards, if possible? This is a topic a lot of people actually talk about. Is it a hoax or is it real? Is it doable?
I'll give you the answer next time.
Yes. So we'll talk about this till we meet again. আপনারা যারা দেখছেন অনুষ্ঠানটি, আশা করি অনুষ্ঠানটি ভালো লেগেছে। যদি ভালো লেগে থাকে আশা করি যারা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া দেখবেন শেয়ার করবেন, মন্তব্য করে জানাবেন। যদি অন্য কিছু জানা থাকে আগামী পর্বে আপনাদের সাথে দেখা হবে। সামনে ঈদ উল আজহার শুভেচ্ছা এবং ঈদ মোবারক জানিয়ে রাখলাম। 4th of July, Monday, enjoy with your family, have barbecue, go out there. Again, বাংলাদেশে বন্যা দুর্গত যারা আছেন তাদের কথা ভুলবেন না, যতটুকু পারেন হাত বাড়িয়ে দেন সাহায্যের। অনেকেই আছেন যারা আত্মসম্মানের বোধের কারণে আপনার কাছে আসবেন না, কিন্তু আপনি কিন্তু জানেন তারা কে। আপনার কাজটুকু আপনি করবেন, এই আশাটুকু আমি করতে পারি যে যেখানে থাকবেন ভালো থাকবেন, সুস্থ থাকবেন, নিরাপদে থাকবেন TVN 24 টেলিভিশনের সাথে। TVN 24 বিশ্বজুড়ে বাঙালির কণ্ঠস্বর। শুভরাত্রি।
TVN 24 টেলিভিশন দেখতে আজই কল করুন 7187776556। লগ ইন করুন www.totalcablebd.com।